right, so let's get to the Longhorns. Here's the latest. You heard Patrick Osborne talking about it in the update there at the top of the hour, but Anthony Hill is off to the NFL, penned a letter to Longhorn Nation and his teammates, and 3 years and done. And we know that's kind of the recipe for Sark in Texas. They want to recruit the best players in the country, like an Anthony Hill, like Kelvin Banks, like Colin Simmons, who's and the expectation on that, Jack, is 3 years and done. I mean, you're going to play your Xavier Worthy. You're going to be one of our best players, a cornerstone player from the jump, and 3 years later, you're probably going to head off the NFL. That's not surprising that Anthony Hill is that. He was a 5-star player, number one defensive player in the state of Texas, much like Colin Simmons was the following year, and he's off to the NFL. Matt Miller, the ESPN NFL draft analyst, the NFL draft scout, he has Anthony ranked. He put out his early December top 50 prospects for the NFL draft in April. He has Anthony Hill as the 30th. The 30th, which is about right. Right linebackers, impactful linebackers like him, probably start going off the board. If he works out like a lot of people think Anthony Hill's going to work out, he could be a late first-round pick because of his pass rushing ability, but at the same time, he's probably a second-round pick. Solid second-round pick to help somebody. Who could use a linebacker like Anthony Hill? The Cowboys. The Cowboys
sure. Right.
In the second round. So keep an eye on that. A lot of teams could use Anthony Hill, but he's off to the draft. And the next question is, who's going with him? I would expect to hear, because these guys don't want to step on each other, so there may be one a day. I would expect to hear from DJ Campbell, the Longhorn right guard, that he's probably, he's a fifth year. He's got to go to the NFL.
Yeah, he's at eligibility.
And he's been banged up a little bit this year, so he's not going to, you'll see that he's not going to play in the bowl game, the opt-out thing. The big ones that are underclassmen that you have to think about are Manny Muhammad,
right,
Jelani McDonald, and then Trevor Gooseby at left tackle. Those three are the next, big wins for Texas. Obviously, guys like DJ Campbell and Michael Taff and the guys who are out of eligibility, they're going to be moving on. By the way, Michael Taff, this is pretty cool. Up for a major award yesterday. As the college football, we're in the award season where they're being handed out. And I will say for Texas Tech fans out there, Jacob Rodriguez, after winning the Butkus Award last Friday night, the linebacker, Jack, he did win the Nagurski last night for the nation's best defensive player, and that's a rightful award for the Texas Tech linebacker out of Dallas, or out of, Minnesota originally, I believe is where he's from, but that's pretty cool. But let's see, I'm trying to think the award, find the award that, Michael Taff is recognized as a finalist for the 2025 Burlsworth Trophy, which goes to student athletes and what they do off the field, and, he's the first Burlsworth Trophy finalist at the University of Texas. That award goes to, Jack?
It's the top walk-on, right?
Yeah, the top walk-on. So he's going to win that, right?
No, I think Drew Messemaker is going to win that.
He's only a redshirt freshman, though.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But, he put North Texas on the map. Nobody's ever done that.
Well, Michael Taff's an All-American.
That's true. Did he win it last year?
No, he didn't win it last year. No.
Win it last year.
Drew Messemaker.
Taff, Or maybe Messemaker did win it last year with the bowl game thing.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to. So he was a finalist. Did Messemaker win? I would have given it to the senior guy. I don't know. That would be me. But Messemaker's a great story. He was not going to walk on. He wasn't even recruited hardly because he didn't play quarterback in high school. But there's that situation. So keep an eye on the other Longhorns. Anthony Hill going. We'll see if another one or two come down today. I would expect that to be the case. Also, plenty of transfer portal news yesterday as well. We reported here on the show because it came out during the program. CJ Baxter is going to jump into the portal. He'll enter the transfer portal January 2nd when it opens. Of course, former 5-star recruit, number 1 overall running back prospect, class of 2023. And we know he showed a ton of promise, so much so that he won the starting running back job as a true freshman coming out of Florida. But injuries that year, remember they beat Alabama that year in September, and it derailed that season. And that opened it up for Jonathan Brooks to assume the running back 1 duties that year. And he went on, almost won the Doak Walker Award before he got hurt against TCU late in that season. Then, of course, a serious knee injury for CJ last training camp, right at the start of camp, derailed his 2024 season. This year, 1 year removed from that surgery. Pretty major knee injury. You could just see he didn't have the burst. He couldn't put that left foot in the ground and cut like he wants to. And that was his superpower coming out of high school. His size, his vision, his to be able to be patient but let holes develop but then hit them. He just didn't have that burst. And, obviously the numbers showed up. And in SEC play, Baxter attempted 30 rushing attempts for just 85 yards. Texas will now await a decision from Trey Wisner on his plan, but there's pretty much clear the Longhorns are going to be active in the portal at the running back position coming up in January to bring someone in, maybe one or two running backs in. I think that's fair to say. Also, defensive lineman Melvin Hills announced that he's jumping into the portal when it opens in January. He's a Louisiana native, 3 years of eligibility left. So Melvin Hills, Trey Owens, essentially the fourth-string quarterback right now for Texas, but would have been in line to be the third-string quarterback when Matthew Caldwell's eligibility is up behind Arch Manning and KJ Lacey. They're also bringing in Dia Bell, obviously, as an early enrollee coming up for the class of 2026. So Trey Owens into the portal, Melvin Hills, C.J. Baxter. Jarrett Gibson, of course, a running back, jumped into the portal way back in October or left the program. He's going back to Florida, it looks like. And then kicker Will Stone is into the portal for the Longhorns. So 5 players plus Anthony Hill. Can we hear from Sark on this? Because last week at the signing day news conference, this is pretty funny. Sark was asked, hey, is Arch Manning coming back? You going to have Arch back? Because that's been, remember back at the first of the year, that when he was the Heisman frontrunner and everybody assumed he was a one-year player, and everybody said, no, he's a couple-year player, maybe 3 at Texas. Here's Sark giggling about people asking still, is Arch coming back?
I don't know. I feel pretty good about it, but we'll see. My thing with the CSP is
all right.
this.
So he said yes. I haven't asked him, is what he said. I haven't asked him.
Right.
But I think he's coming back. I think he's coming back to play. But he said maybe I should ask him. I think Arch Manning will be back. He had a great finish to the season. He's in line to lead this program big time into the offseason and into what comes in 2026. Let's hear, though, Sark, on the exit meetings, the portal avails, and the current roster. He was asked about this last week, and now that we're here on a Tuesday and guys are opting out of the bowl game, entering the portal, bears to go back and hear Sark's thoughts on this last week. They understand this is coming. It's the natural cycle of off-season. Here's Sark last week.
And maybe jump in the portal, and assuming y'all aren't in the playoffs, do you expect to have exit interviews earlier with these guys, or how do those conversations go if you aren't in the playoffs?
Yeah, no, my plan is to do my exit meetings with the players in December. To be fair to them, they should know where they stand in the program prior to January 2nd. So that's the plan. And we've got different layers of exit interviews. I've got exit interviews with players that are trying to decide if they're going to declare for the NFL draft or stay here. We've got seniors who are done, but what do they need to work on to get ready for the NFL draft? We've got current players on our roster that we feel very good that aren't potentially going anywhere. That, okay, what do they need to? Where are they at? How was their season? What do they need to work on? And then we've got players that are probably a little bit in flux and they're trying to make decisions. And so we'll have all of those meetings here in December, and we got plenty of time to get that done. But I think to be fair to them, that's the right thing to do.
All right, so exit interviews have begun, and that's why, I would assume, I'm just assuming here, Jack, that there was an exit interview or conversation with C.J. Baxter. And, because look, Jack, the new world order of this, if you have C.J. Baxter, who, when he's a 5-star number 1 running back in the country coming out, and the NIL space was a pretty highly paid player.
Right.
Well, I'm assuming he was told that we're not going to be able to go there again. We have to allocate resources differently at that position. We're going to have to hit in the portal. And CJ understands that, I would imagine. Yeah. And, your numbers coming down. Your production wasn't there. We understand injury related. We love you as a leader of our team. And then CJ has to make a decision from there. Obviously he's going to, I think everybody hopes for CJ Baxter to get healthy, get that spark back, get that decisiveness back, and be that running back again, which, injured guys come back from injuries all the time. But at the same time, it wasn't this year, and Texas has to be real about when the portal opens, we've got to attack running back. And we've not only got to identify the right running backs, we've got to have resources, portal, allocated dollars to go there. And we're going to take some away from you, CJ. And that's going on. I mean, that's, there's going to be some guys at all positions. Hey, man, you were making this, because there's going to be guys that want to go up, and there's going to be guys that want to come down.
Right.
that they're going to want to bring down. And they have to either accept that or, because again, there is a revenue sharing salary cap, as they say, and I know everybody laughs at that. Sark talked, that is a reality for us. We play under those rules. So, and again, Texas has more than anybody, and they will go where they need to go. But that you just have to do it smartly. Spreadsheets, I guess, is where we are in college football. But how about Sark also talking about the portal plan for January? I'm sure you as fans out there want to hear that. What is the portal plan? Because it will be coming up January 2nd, as we've said a couple times, it opens. And Longhorns last year were really active in the defensive line space. Emmett Mosley, I mean, as far as the early window, is really defensive line that they went after, plus Jack Endries is a tight end. But here is Sark on what their plan, at least the early plan. This was last week, so this could change between now and January 2nd. But here was Sark when asked the question last week.
Where your depth is at certain positions, and it's one thing to have depth in numbers, it's another to have depth in class age, right? Are there seniors, are there juniors, are there true freshmen, and what that looks like? And then where are your needs, right? Where are your needs on your roster? And then how are we going to attack those needs, right? And then what we try to do, we try to kind of put it in, it's an urgent need, it's a great need to have, or it's a luxury. Right, and so when you do that, the urgent needs, that's where a lot of our attention goes to. And then, hey, this would be, if this guy's a really good player and we have a pretty good need here, let's go attack that. Or this is just a luxury, and a luxury is maybe a kid wants to come home who was a fantastic player out of high school and got homesick, but how can we say no to him? That's kind of more of the luxury, and so we try to rank it in that way. To go along with our roster and our sheer numbers of what it looks like. And so we've done that. We have a pretty good feel, but that always evolves too, and let's say you go into this thing thinking, hey, we're going to take 2 O-linemen or 3 O-linemen, but there's a fourth one that how do you say no to them? You're probably going to take them, and again, that falls back into what maybe went from urgent can still become a luxury too.
All right, and some of those declarations of what's urgent and what's not are going to be decided on these guys that leave, right? I mean, if Trevor Gooseby decides to opt out, or Manny Muhammad, which some expect, or Jelani McDonald, that would probably heighten those positions a little bit on your need, big picture, to make sure you've got a replacement there when the underclassman goes. Because a guy like Trevor Gooseby, when he came in from Melissa, Texas, wasn't projected to be a 3-and-done guy, right? He was not projected to be that. And he's your starting left tackle who got better as the year went on. And once they got Cole Hudson and moved him over to left guard, that left side of the offensive line played much better with Connor Robertson taking the center spot. So that all is in flux, and that's the ebb and flow now. Who's going to opt out, play in the bowl game, head to the NFL? Who's going to, leave early for the NFL potentially? And then, which other Longhorns are going to get into the portal? We're hearing some word that, there could be some starting names deciding to jump in the portal. I would think that's going to be on the offensive line too. Because we already got 2 running backs here. Texas already has 2 running backs in the portal.
Right.
C.J. Baxter, Jarrett Gibson. So that's going to be an attack. And Sark made it clear last Wednesday, that's a position of need for us in the portal. So the players have been informed that too. So we're going to attack portal. But also offensive line. I mean, the offensive line was a letdown this year. You're losing DJ Campbell. Cole Hudson has a decision to make. There are young guys in the program, but I think they learned their lesson last year. We're going to go get some veteran guys, especially on the interior. And if Trevor Gooseby comes back, I mean, that would be a huge luxury for Texas. If Trevor Gooseby decided, you know what, I want to come back, play 1 year on campus with my brother. His brother is the 5-star guard from Melissa, Texas as well, who has signed on to play with Sean Miller and the Texas basketball team. For next year, he'll be a freshman. So maybe there's some family ties there. And then Brandon Baker is your right tackle, and he should be back, which he got better as the year went on. So you got your bookends. Another guy Jack has to make a decision about the future is Jack Endries. Jack Endries, the tight end from Cal. He's got eligibility left, but he's also draft eligible. Did he do enough this year? Does he want to try his hand? Does he want to come back and be a primary target and a main target? The tight end room's pretty deep. They've got emerging tight ends, Nick Townsend and Jordan Matthews and guys like that. But you wonder what Jack Endries will do. So those are the things we'll follow here this week, next week. Then January 2nd, portal opens coming out of the holidays. And obviously the Longhorns have a bowl game to prep for now. And they'll get 2 weeks of those bowl practices. Sark said pretty clearly, we're going to get a lot of young guys, a lot of looks, a lot of development. Treat that as another spring practice or spring, fall camp. And then, who's going to play in the bowl game becomes a question. Who's going to suit up? Who's actually going to put it out there against Michigan on the afternoon of the final day of 2025?